shit. Everybody hold your fire, it's Carl.
We can stop this.
Oh, now you want to talk? We're gonna need apologies. Punish.
Kill me.
What did you say?
There has to be punishment, then kill me. If me dying can make things different, for us, for you, for all those other kids, it'd be worth it.
Carl's death is the singular event in the entire season that redefines what our story is.
I never saw it coming. I didn't, think it was ever going to happen. I always thought I was going to be passing on the gun and boots to my son. I always thought that was going to be the way. He was the next generation. He was the future. Rick is in a huge state of shock, as you would be, losing the other engine that has driven him all the time people have been watching the show. His two engines were his wife and his child, and they've both been taken away from him now. He's left, of course, with Judith, but more importantly, the surrogate family. Everybody else that exists around him come to the fore, I think, in this moment of terrible trauma.
Father's job is to protect his son.
It's just a love.
For Michonne, there's an overarching grief and loss and devastation. And how to pick herself up and keep going in the loss of Carl was the overarching experience for my character, and also how to continue on and see forth this young man's legacy, really, and make sure that he remains alive in all that we do and in what we create.
Losing Carl is such a game changer for these characters for the whole show. He's a character I don't think any of us really anticipated ever leaving. And it's so painfully sad how he goes. It's not a casualty of the war. He's an indirect casualty of the war.
The least tragic side to Carl going when he did was he did get to become the person that he hoped he could become, or that his father hoped he could become. That he had achieved a perspective, a humanity, and a sense of responsibility that made him into an exceptional person, a hero. And that heroism changed their world.
It's not supposed to be like this. I know it can be better.
Carl grew up during this zombie apocalypse. He represents to so many people what it would be like to be a child and grow up in a world gone mad.
This kid is built for this shit, this apocalypse. And when I say it with real respect and love. Negan thinks this kid's incredibly special, and I think that he sees Carl as the future of this world.
I think that Carl represented the possibility of hope in a world of absolute hopelessness. So everyone who Carl has affected is more hopeful because of his actions, more enlivened because of the life that he breathed into that character.
You brought me here. You gave me a chance. I know I can never repay you, but I can honor you by showing your family that what you did mattered. Because it did. I'm gonna honor you, Carl.
We certainly see throughout the episode these visions of what Carl had imagined for the future. We hear pieces of Carl's letter to him, of what he remembered about his childhood, and even seeing glimpses of that, of Rick with young Carl, and remembering that feeling of being safe.
One of the great things about these visions are, I think people can kind of put what they want to onto these visions, but for me, I think of them as what Carl sees as the future, and I think Carl, when he had to deal with his own death when he was bitten, he took the time to write letters about what he wanted, and I think this is what he wants. This is a vision of what that is, and other people can embrace that, or they can embrace it as being, a fantasy or maybe a future vision.
I think he's really worried about, at the end of the episode, Rick won't see what Carl sees. Carl sees a better world. He sees, a brighter future and a new hope. At this point, Carl is just going to try and drill it into Rick that not everyone has to die.
You brought those people from Woodbury, and we all lived together. We were enemies. You put away your gun so I could change. So I could be who I am now. How you stopped fighting. Was right. It could be like that again.
You can still be like that again.
I think Carl did recognize that they were ripping each other apart, and that even if they were successful in killing Negan, there wouldn't be much of them left worth salvaging. I think it's a huge moment, it's a painful moment, it's tough and it's profound because he's not wrong. There's so many elements that play into why this is able to build the way that it builds, but ultimately it's up to Rick. And for Rick to recognize he has the upper hand, he has won, but he doesn't have to take that final step. And that all comes from Carl. That all comes from losing Carl.
His death has a profound effect on Rick, on Michonne, on everybody. But it's his dying words when he's talking about what the future could hold. And he's trying to get Rick to imagine what the future will look like if he just understands. It's not about the war, it's about after the war. It's about, can they drop their differences and work together?
Morning to you, darling.
And it's very important we pay tribute to that emotion and that sentiment of Carl, because that really is what drives the entire second half of the season.
These people, you saved them all. That's all you, man.
It was astonishing just to see what that young man has become as an actor. And you got what was on the screen. The legacy, you know, the iconic hat being passed on to his sister was intensely moving.
I think Carl is really, really devastated to not be there to help protect her. And it's a talisman, and it's a symbol, and it's a connection to him and a connection to Rick of, this is who you are now. You pick up the mantle, and even though she's way, way too young to understand it, Rick certainly understands it, Michonne understands it, and Carl understands it. It's a gift to his little sister of, this is who you need to be, and you will be strong. And to me, it's very reminiscent of when Laurie says goodbye to Carl. She tells him, you're going to beat this world. And, you know, obviously he doesn't, but that sentiment is one that Carl is trying to pass on to Judith, which is, I want you to beat this world. I want you to be good, and not just be a survivor, but be good. And, you know, that's ultimately who Carl was, and I know that's ultimately his hope for Judith.
This was Dad's before it was mine. Now it's yours. Just having it always kept Dad with me.
I've never met any young man like him. I always tell the producers how they lucked out, and they ended up with the most amazing, kind, gentle, intelligent, wise soul you could come across. When you look at the body of his work from age 10 to age 18, I mean, it's insane. So to lose him, it's been devastating, really. But I'm excited for his future. I love him.
Working with Chandler, it was very apparent every year that this was a growing, maturing person. And each year of the show, if you look back, he looks different and is different. And that's really cool just to see the journey of the show through Chandler.
I genuinely believe one of the best things about this show is Chandler and who he's grown up to be, and what that says about the people around him and what that says about him. So yeah, the loss of Chandler is my season 8.
One of the great gifts of, you know, working on this show has been watching that young man turn into the extraordinary man that we all know today.